everyone, it's Casey. I have quite an exciting video for you. As you can see, I have quite a lot of product to review. I have 3 blushes and 2 eyeshadows from 3CE. You all seem to quite like 3CE, so here you go. And so if you want to go ahead and skip directly to the swatches and application, you could click right here. Otherwise, I'm just going to jump straight into the review. So first of all, where did I buy these? I bought these directly off of the STYLENANDA website. I couldn't find them on 86 Shop in Shaoshan Meizi. I know 86 Shop used to carry this blush I wanted. I only wanted my Muse, and I somehow ended up with 4 more products. But anyway, they didn't carry anymore, and why I like to shop on 86 Shop is because you get points, and also they go on discount a lot more compared to STYLENANDA's website. But I was desperate for them, so I just paid for shipping, or paid it directly from the STYLENANDA website, even though they weren't on sale. So in case you're wondering, they do have international shipping to most countries. So in my case, since I was shipping to Taiwan, there was actually no shipping fee, I believe. I'm not sure if it's because I paid over a certain amount, but either way, I didn't pay for shipping for all of these products. Now, speaking of price, these are called the 3CE one color eyeshadows. I have the shades Yolk and Tangerine right here. Tangerine stain, I'm sorry. And these were 357 NT dollars. So that's about maybe $11 or $12. These are pricey, okay? And then I had the 2 3CE dual color face blushes. This is in the shade Peach Crush and Retro Drive, and these are a little bit more expensive. These are 714 NT dollars, so that comes out to about 23 US dollars. So a little bit cheaper compared to MAC, I believe, but again, still pricey. It's sort of the middle range of cosmetics. And lastly, the one that started the craze is this shade called My Muse. This was 551 NT dollars, which is I guess roughly around 18 US dollars, roughly. So again, you could find more details about the colors in the swatch section. Like I said, these were not on sale, and these are all completely matte. Now, in case you're just wondering what started the craze of why I wanted everything to be orange and yellow, was from this one eyeshadow from this company called Vise Avant. Hopefully you can see that. And the shade, in case you're wondering, is number 36. And I actually got this from Watson's. This was not cheap. I think it was like 229 or 299, something like that, NT dollars, which is close to like $8 to $10 for this one eyeshadow. And I've been just, for some reason, really wanting orange blush. And so when I applied this, it was actually quite nice. And so I remember 3CE used to have this color called My Muse, which was orange. Now, when I actually got the colors, you could kind of see, hopefully they're not the same at all. Which is totally fine. I actually ended up liking My Muse a lot more. In fact, it was more similar to Tangerine Stain as an eyeshadow. So you can kind of see these are a little bit closer. Tangerine Stain is a lot more vibrant, however. And I was very pleased with this, and I do think this is quite nice to just carry when you travel by itself. And you could just carry this for eyes and cheeks as well. But if you want a cream version, I'll link the 3CE Take a Layer multi-pot up here if you want to see my review for that. But if you want a powder version, that one's not bad, but it's significantly less pigmented. So let's jump straight into the review for these eyeshadows and blushes. So let's talk about the eyeshadows very quickly. Again, for 11 to 12 bucks, this is Yolk, which is simply described as a pure bright yellow, and this is Tangerine Stain, described as a refreshing vivid orange, which you can achieve a tomboy look. I'm not sure sometimes about their descriptions, but either way, these are so super pigmented, and you will see it in the swatches and application. But they're still buildable. They're not like one swipe and then high impact color. With Yolk, it's kind of like this. With Tangerine Stain, it's a little bit more buildable. It's not like, for example, Etude House eyeshadows where you have to layer and layer and layer to build up to that color, which I appreciate personally because you have more control. This one is sort of like a medium to opaque. This one's high impact opaque. So once you put it on, it's on there. So very pigmented. I don't think people will be very disappointed with these. Very similar to MAC in my opinion, in that they are so pigmented. And there's not a lot of fallout in my experience with this. It doesn't crumble or anything like that. So extremely great. You have to be very careful when you apply these. The next one I got is the Duo blushes. Now these are a little bit pricey. These are two I think looking back I wouldn't get, but again, the pictures on STYLENANDA websites are, it's just so pretty that you want to buy everything. And so I was surprised I didn't buy a few other shades. But anyways, again, this is Peach Crush, which is described as a subtle peach pink meets vivid orange. And this is Retro Drive, which is a mustard yellow and vivid orange red. I actually thought the red was a lot more of a orange initially when I wanted it, but turns out it's very reddish orange, more leaning towards the red, which I kind of like in that you kind of get 4 blushes in this case if you want to separate them. So there's a lot of flexibility with these blushes, as you will see in the application portion of the video. So you could kind of think of it as a 3 different kinds of shades in one. You can mix them together or use them independently for these colors. Again, super duper opaque for both of these blushes, and I do recommend them if you're okay with the price. They are very pricey indeed. So the one thing I will say about Peach Crush is that I would say light to medium skin tones for this one. Obviously this one, I think finally we have some shades for the my darker skinned people, in that this is perfect I think for medium to dark skin, because if the yellow doesn't work out, you got the red, and this color I think will look so bright and so gorgeous on darker skin tone people. In fact, on me I think it looks too red. Kind of looks like I'm overheated in my for my skin tone. Right now I'm very light since it's the dead of winter and I don't see the sun a lot since I work in the evenings. So anyways, this one I think will look so stunning on darker skinned people. Yeah, so, but if possible I would still swatch it, and you'll see it in my swatches if you're okay with that bright red. Might look powdery, I'm not sure. It might look a little powdery for some dark, like extremely dark skinned people, but I would say for people who are darker, this one is finally one that could work for the darker skinned people, so I was really excited for that. The last one is my Muse, the one I said that started this STYLENANDA purchase. It's described as a matte carrot orange shade, and I do think that's actually quite accurate. I'm wearing it currently on my cheeks, nothing on my eyes because my eyes are really sore from all the swatching and applications. But this color is so beautiful. It is my favorite, and I think I'm going to hit pan on it so quickly. It's a lighter shade obviously, so this will only work I think for lighter skinned people, unfortunately. For those maybe to medium skin, those darker than medium skin tone, this might not show up too well on for these people, for darker skinned people, I'm sorry. So either way, I do think this is a very pretty color for the light to medium skin tones, and it's one I almost want to buy a backup of. It's very similar to the Mood Recipe blushes in that it's kind of normal, but this one's obviously brighter, so it just looks, it makes me feel like I feel like my skin looks healthier. I look maybe even younger and youthful with this kind of color, so I highly recommend this color if you are light to medium skin tone. And as you can see, it's just so pretty. Very similar to the other orange products that I was showing. Reminds me of Diotima in a sense, but less brown. This is just straight up carrot orange. So in terms of longevity, the eyeshadows are insane. They last all day, especially that Yolk color. It's just, I don't have any issues with fading with this one at all. Same with Tangerine stain as well. In fact, they kind of stain my eyelids if I didn't use a proper makeup remover and I was just using a wet wipe. There's no way it's coming off unless I use a proper makeup remover. So they last all day. I've worked with them from say 12 in the afternoon up till 10 in the evening, so at least 10 hours. And then for the blushes, again, very long wearing as well. This one tends to fade. I mean, any light colored blush will tend to fade a lot faster, but this Retro Drive will stay on forever. It just stays on the whole day because it is brighter. Any brighter color, especially with reds, tend to stain the cheeks really nicely, and they will stay on. And Peach Crush, this is the one where I think you can find more colors in, but again, it's the flexibility of having two blushes / eyeshadows all in one. So it's a multi-purpose product, which I think is helpful. But is it super special? Probably not. It's the one I think I wouldn't necessarily repurchase. Retro Drive, I think if I was darker skin tone, I would. But by far, these three I highly recommend if you like fun eyeshadows. And then, especially for my Muse, I just can't get enough of this blush. I could feel like I'm already starting to hit pan or something. So, in terms of shipping from STYLENANDA, in case you're wondering, it was packaged extremely well and everything arrived just fine, very obviously. The packaging looks very similar to MAC in that sense. And shipping was extremely fast in Taiwan, in fact. So would I recommend these? Absolutely. If you could swatch them somehow, if you're in Korea, definitely check out a STYLENANDA store. If you're willing to accept the fact that you might come out with more products than you need or want. But yeah, very pigmented products. It reminds me of MAC Cosmetics, but just a different brand with different colors and super fun colors as well. So, which is surprising, I think, for Asian cosmetics. So, I believe that's it for these products. A little pricey, but totally worth it for the longevity and opacity. So, without further ado, let's move on to the swatches. Alright, so let's get on with the swatches. So I'm going to start off with the eyeshadows. This is the 3CE One Color Shadow. These are all matte, and this is the shade in Yolk. So I would say right now it's showing pretty accurate to color. It is this bright sunny Yolk color, and so I'm going to just swipe it a few times on to my hand. And I'm going to put it all across my arms so you can see the differences. And right there. Hopefully, don't mind that, please. I'm going to swatch these quite big so you can hopefully see them a lot better. So you can see right off the bat with the live swatch, it's very pigmented. So that is the shade Yolk. Next shade I'm going to move on to is the shade called Tangerine Stain. So this is Tangerine Stain. Again, showing pretty true to color on the monitor, at least on my viewfinder on my camera. So same thing. I've wiped off my finger. I'm just going to apply right here. Right there. You can see very pigmented right off the bat. Whoops, kind of missed the mark there. And there's that one. Okay. So that is Tangerine Stain. And I have to say, this color does actually kind of stain if I don't use makeup remover. It is a nightmare to remove if I don't. So make sure you use a good makeup remover. So that's Tangerine Stain. Alright, so next one I'm going to swatch are the 3CE Duo Face Blushes. This one is in Peach Crush. So it looks like this. And that's the name on the back. Oops. So this is Peach Crush. And this is what the color looks like. So you have a simple pink and then an orange on the other side. So I'm going to swatch them independently, just like so. Okay, you can kind of see the colors right there. I'm gonna try my best to do it again. Much more muted compared to Tangerine Stain, as you can see right here. And let me mix them together so you can see the color. I'll put it right here. So that's it mixed together as evenly as possible. So that is it mixed together. It becomes this sort of soft peachy orange. Okay, and the next shade we're gonna work on is Retro Drive. So this is Retro Drive, and as you can see, it's an alarmingly mustard yellow and a reddish orange. So again, same thing, I'm going to apply it on both sides. Okay, so you can see it is quite, oops, this way, this is quite red. So let me kind of make it thicker so you can see it better. And finally, let me mix the colors as best as possible. So you see this is the two colors independently. Rather red and rather mustard. And so I'm going to apply, this one is both of the colors mixed together, and you get this nice pretty sort of bright orangey color. Okay, and then lastly we have the one that started the craze of orange blushes for me, is my Muse. So lastly we got my Muse. This is the shade name in case you're wondering. It's just called the 3CE Face Blush. Oops. My Muse. So just taking it on my middle finger, so, and then I'm going to apply it finally right here. And so this is much more tame and muted actually compared to the other blushes. So there you have it. So this is what started it all. I will dim the lighting in a second. It all started again with this one eyeshadow from Vise Avant in shade number 36. So I'm going to swatch it on top of Tangerine, since this is what I feel like it's most similar to. And you can see I'm rubbing a lot with my finger. This one is Tangerine. I kind of swatched it kind of funny. I'm going to do it right on top, and you can see it is way less pigmented compared to the 3CE one. Way less pigmented, but it's actually good in the sense of if you're using it as a blush, I guess you won't go too crazy. And I'll swatch it on top of my Muse, since that's originally why I wanted to find. Actually, let me swatch it next to my Muse for now, so you can see they're kind of different. So I'm going to wipe that away since that's not part of this review. Alright, so here are the colors up close. My finger is super stained. And so you have Yolk, Tangerine Stain. Independently, these are the dual blush colors in Peach Crush. This is mixed together. These are Retro Drive, independently mixed together. And lastly, the 3CE blush in my Muse. Alright, so I've dimmed my lighting so you could see it significantly better. I'm going to hold it up next to the color. So this is the shade Yolk. This is Tangerine Stain. The three right here are the duo blushes in Peach Crush, independently, and then this is the mix together. This is the duo blush in Retro Drive, so you can see independently. I kind of did it backwards. And then this is the mixed together color. And lastly, we have my favorite of them all, because I'm very basic, is this one right here in my Muse. So that's it for the swatches, and so let's move on to the application. I'm going to start with the eyeshadows. These are the one color shadows, and I have the shades in Tangerine and Yolk. And on my viewfinder for my camera, they are showing up pretty accurately for the most part. The yellow one looks a little bit brighter compared to the colors. So, but on my laptop it looks pretty accurate. So we'll see. I might adjust the colors a little bit so that they match a little better. So what I'm going to do is apply, let's see, let's do Yolk on this side, and we'll do Tangerine on this side. And so I'll even apply as blush in case you're wondering. These are so pigmented, like I mentioned in the review. So how I'm going to apply these is I'm just taking one of my It Cosmetics by Ulta eyeshadow brushes, and I'm going to be cleaning it in between with my brush cleaner. So I would say, just in case, on the viewfinder it looks a little bit like a true yellow. I would say this looks a little bit like, almost like a Yolk kind of yellow, and it depends, I guess, which country you're coming from, but it's a tinge darker, almost like a mustard yellow, but a hair lighter than a mustard yellow, if that makes sense. But let's just go ahead and pop this baby on. I'm not gonna do it in any way that's, let's say, a specific way. I just want to apply it so that you see the color. So I'm just going to apply it so you can see the color completely. And I'm not using any primer because my eyelids have done the most today. They're just so much in pain from all of this, and I'm kind of just patting it on. It's buildable, as you can see, which I think is good, but it's buildable to something that's extremely pigmented. So why I wanted this color, I'm not really sure what took over me, but I just thought it was such a cool color, in fact, as blush. So on my camera it looks a little bit brighter. I might adjust the colors again on my laptop to make it more true to what I see in person. In person it's more of a little bit darker compared to what's on the viewfinder, but on my laptop it looks fine. So we'll see how that turns out. As you can see, it's pretty bright. Bixby is the bane of my existence. She keeps thinking I'm talking to her, but I'm not. So you could already see it's extremely pigmented. You can see me from a mile away. And with my contacts, it actually brings out the color of my contacts really well. Again, I'm not applying this in any specific way. I'm going to kind of blend it, maybe a hair. And you can see it looks pretty fun and bright. I think for summer or winter it looks really cool. And I'm going to apply on the under lash line right here. Kind of build it up. And so that is the shade Yolk right here. So on my eyelid actually looks pretty true. It will look even better if you use a primer, of course, but again, my eyelids just cannot take any more harassment. So that is it. It does not look too patchy. If it does seem patchy, it's only because my eyelids have been going through a lot. I've been wiping colors on and off, and my eyelids are dry to begin with, so that might be the reason why. So that's Yolk. I'm going to apply it with, now surprisingly, a blush brush. Say that 10 times fast. And so I'm just using my Etude House one that came in a set, and so you could see this could be a look, right? Do you think yellow blush could ever be in fashion? Let me know down below. I'm tempted to almost wear this as a blush. I think it looks quite fun, but I also don't want to look like I had jaundice as well. So I'm not sure. Jaundice, is that how you pronounce it? So just to let you see how pigmented it is, and you can technically use it as a blush. I think mixed with other colors that are maybe too red or something could look really pretty, or too pink. This could be a nice blending color to tone down other colors. But if you look at it, it's not a bad look, right? I actually don't mind the yellow. So I'm gonna tone down my lights so hopefully you could see it better. Okay, now it looks more true to color with the yolk, I would say. So that's yolk. If you kind of see the redness on my eyelid, please ignore that. And that's the yellow blush. So do you think this could be a look? Let me know. So now I'm going to apply on the other side the color in Tangerine. So I'm going to use the other side with the color, actually it's called Tangerine Stain. I never noticed that. So this is Tangerine Stain. Looks a little brighter at the moment, but we'll see. So same thing, not going to apply in any specific way for a specific look. I'm just applying it all over so you can see the color itself. There's a little bit of kick up powder, but that's okay. It's not really fallout, at least. It's very finely milled. So again, I look crazy right now. I would probably blend that a lot more if I'm actually wearing it this way. I think I picked up too much color is what happened. So I'm just cleaning it off and then just now taking the edge and kind of blending out the edges. This is why I love this It Cosmetic brush, is it really blends out quite well. So that looks a little bit more tame. So you can see how quickly that color just popped right onto my eyelid immediately. And so that is the shade in Tangerine. Again, I'm not applying in a specific way. I'm just applying it so you can see what it looks like on my eyes. I probably apply way too much underneath here. So now I'm going to apply as a blush as well, just like I did with Yolk. So you could see this color is so pretty as a blush. I love it. I don't know what is my obsession with orange recently. I just think it looks so nice. So you can see it goes on rather nicely. It's sort of this lighter orangey color, or tangerine is again a very accurate description. You can see how bright and fun that is for spring. I look insane, so just ignore the side. I didn't do a great blending job, so ignore that. I just want you to see the color. So you can see this is Tangerine right here. Okay, so that is the shade Tangerine. After blending it a little bit, it looks much more tame. You can see that is Tangerine. Looks even more insane, but on one side it looks really pretty. And then this is the shade Yolk. So here they are. So let's move on to the next colors. Okay, so I've finally somehow managed to wipe off the last eyeshadows, and my eyelids feel like they're on fire. So I'm not going to apply them to my eyelids anymore. I'm going to let them rest after all of the abuse today. So now I'm going to move on to the two dual color face blushes. And so what's quite interesting is, so you could actually apply it in 4 different ways. So one way is to apply the base color all over the cheeks and then apply the main color on the center. Another way is to apply the color separately on each, the inner and outer half of your cheeks. Another way is to apply separately on each of the upper and lower half of your cheeks, while the other one is more like this. And then the other way is just to mix the colors together. So how I'm going to do it to demonstrate the 2 different colors is I'm going to apply one kind of diagonally on the inner and the outer side of the cheek for Retro Drive, because that's what they did in the pictures. And for the other ones, I'm going to apply one on the upper and lower half, just like they did in their pictures. So actually they do it in all sorts of ways. Props to the models who have to go through so much abuse for their cheeks. So I'm going to do it exactly the same way they did in their pictures. I'm going to mix the colors all on this side, and then this side I'm going to do it separately. instead. So let me get my hair out of the way. So just taking the blush brush I've been cleaning it off. So how they do it is they are going to start with the pink on the inner side, and then the outer side will be the brighter color, the orange. And this one is called Peach Crush, and this is what it looks like. I would say on camera it's showing up pretty true to color on my viewfinder. And so I'm going to take the pink side first because that's lighter. And so taking sort of like this angled blush brush is quite good. I'm going to smile and apply it on the inner side. And you can kind of see it's quite pigmented as well, but this one's obviously lighter. I'm going to apply it heavily so I can see it better. That's actually quite right. And then on the other side, I'm going to take the orange side and apply it here as well. And so let's see, on their website they say it is a combination, an orange combo as sweet as ripe peach. Let's see if they say the shade color. It just says pink meets vivid orange is Peach Crush is all it says. So you can kind of see the orange. I'll dim the lighting, don't worry. So you can see the colors a little bit better, but in this bright lighting this is what it looks like. Let me emphasize the pink a little more. And so let me go heavier so you can see. I'm kind of just looking down at my mirror down here and the outer side, so kind of fades into each other beautifully. On this side I'm going to mix the colors together as much as possible and really tap it off, and same thing, and apply. So this becomes more of a peachy color once you mix them together. It's kind of hard to mix them with an angled brush. So this is what it's looking like on the mix side. Very pretty as well. But for me, I think because it is the dual blush, it's more fun when you're kind of doing these separate colors. But you know, if you're on the quick go, just quickly mix them together, swirl your brush, and then apply on. So you can see it actually creates a very different look. Over here it's more subtle and then it gets really bright and fun, and then on this side it gets more natural and it becomes a nice peachy color. Actually kind of reminds me of the Tangerine, but a little bit more pink obviously. So I'm going to dim my lighting, well, after I show you what it looks like. This is the mix side and this is the non-mix side right there. So let me dim my lighting so you can see a lot better. This is the peachy side all mixed together, or Peach Crush blush, dual blush mixed together. And then this is the side where I applied on the inner side with the pink, and then the orange on the outer side, and it looks like so. So it's two sort of different looks.
Alright, so now we're going to move on to the next dual blush in Retro Drive, and it looks like this. So they describe this one as a mustard yellow and an orange red, and so I'm going to apply it again this side with the yellow, let's see, the yellow on the inner side just like in her picture, and then the orange red on the outer cheek, and this side I'm going to mix the colors together. So I've already cleaned my brush and I'm going to apply. I just realized I didn't record audio for the last one. So I'm going to start with the mustard yellow right here. So I won't stain the brush too much. Actually, let me show you in comparison with
the shade Yolk. Mustard, this is, yeah, I would say very different. The mustard yellow with Retro Drive looks more brown, while Yolk next to it now looks more less brown, I suppose. So anyway, so just getting my angled brush right in there, just like so, and I'm gonna apply it more heavy-handed. So you can see I will again dim the lighting to dim the lights. So you can see it's much more tame compared to the yellow Yolk eyeshadow. This is very pretty. I almost think you could wear this on its own. It looks very pretty, sort of like a bronzy yellow. But again, I'm concerned it might look like jaundice. And then now on this side, I'm going to apply the bright orangey red, and I'm gonna go kind of light-handed with this one. This one is so pigmented in comparison that sometimes I could look a little bit like I'm really hot if I apply too much. But what's cool is it kind of creates this contoured look if you do this, yeah? And then it almost looks like your color is shifting, which I think is kind of neat. So I'm gonna apply a little bit more yellow right there and kind of soften the orangey red. And you can kind of see, it almost looks like I'm color shifting, right? So yeah, kind of a cool, neat color. I'm gonna apply a little higher so you could see the yellow. So that's it on this side. Now I'm going to mix the colors together. I'm just kind of like turning the eyeshadow, the blush around like this, swiveling so it gets on both sides. And now I'm going to apply like so. Look like a regular blush. And this one, I'm going to apply maybe more heavy now. There we go. The red definitely takes over with this blush. I think it will look so pretty on darker skin tones. Finally, we have one that may look more apparent on medium dark to perhaps even darker skin tones if you focus more on the reddish orange side. On me it looks, I'm a little hot. It looks like a very bright, vibrant red orange. The yellow almost kind of disappears. So I'm gonna apply a little bit more orange on the edges, which I think is really pretty as well. So you kind of see the peak of little hints of mustard yellow, and I think that's also really pretty as well. So you can see the yellow kind of blends into my skin and it almost looks like it doesn't start, but I applied it in the same way. I'm gonna kind of blend this out so it's not crazy. So alright, this is the one of the 3C application methods on this side with the bright orange on the outer side and then the mustard yellow on the inner cheek. And then this is the mixed color. So it becomes sort of this reddish orange, really takes over the yellow. So just kind of more tamed down from the red orange, but more of a darker bright orange? A bright orange. Bright reddish orange. So this is it. The shade in Retro Drive. Now with dim lighting, or dimmer lighting, you'll see the color much better now. Sort of a reddish orange. The mustard yellow and the red. So let me know which side you like better for these duo blushes, and do you think I could wear the mustard yellow on its own? So let's move on finally to the last shade. Let's finally move on to the last shade finally, because my whole face is falling apart from all of these swatches. So again, this is my Muse and it is described as the matte carrot orange shade, and I just wanted to show you very quickly, I'm not sure if I will mention this in the beginning, this is the one eyeshadow that started it all, and I wanted to find an orange blush, and I knew 3C has very pigmented blushes. So when I got it in order, I was at first initially kind of disappointed that it was not this bright orange. In fact, Tangerine was more similar to what I was looking for. So you could kind of see Tangerine, and then this one eyeshadow was more similar. But I'm actually very happy that I got my Muse because it's a little bit more tame compared to this bright Tangerine shade by Vise Avant, and the shade is simply number 36. So yeah, it's great if you want to just travel with this as an eyeshadow and blush instead of something so big. But anyways, that's besides the point. And so this is finally my Muse. I'm not going to apply on my eyelids because my eyelids are red enough. I'm just going to apply this finally all on my cheeks. And so this is such a pretty color. Like I said, it's very different from my other blush review. If you want to see, I'll link it right here, the 3CE Mood Recipe blushes. This Mood Recipe kind of had like brown undertones. This one is truly like a carrot shade, and it's a very accurate description. So this one's kind of brighter in a sense, not overly bright. So I like that it's a very subtle, brighter than the Mood Recipe blushes. This by far has become the one blush I want backup and backups of. Very similar to the Mood Recipe blush I mentioned before. I still love that one to death as well. But this one is just, it's that perfect look for, I'm not sure what it's called. Is it called like a watercolor technique? Or there's that one technique in Japan where you kind of put it over your nose. But I like to put this kind of high up on my cheeks. So you can kind of see the color a lot more, and I like to bring my blush back always. So you could leave it right here just as so, but I'm going to sweep it across with the tip of my angled brush onto my nose. So I've been loving this look recently, and then just kind of bringing it, connecting it to each other, and it just gives the sort of like almost sun-kissed. They describe it as sort of like a drunk look, which I do kind of agree, it does look like that, but it just looks really fun to do it this way. But if I just want something more subtle, like say for work, then I'll just only do it on my cheeks instead of across the nose. If you do fake freckles, I think that looks super pretty with this color. I think if you apply this in conjunction on your eyelids, it might look a little bit too sunburnt. So I just like to leave it at this, and then pop on some highlighter. Let's see, which highlighter do I want? I'll use the one from my Hourglass Absolute Strobe Light one, which is quite pretty. I'm just going to take the golden one and just pop it on now that I'm done swatching right here. And it just looks so pretty. Kind of pop it right there, and there you have it. So that is it for my Muse. Such a pretty color, a matte carrot shade. So I'll show you up close what it looks like, and I'll dim my lighting, but you can kind of see how cute it is across the nose. And it looks so good with like green and blue or gold, whatever contacts you have, but it just looks super pretty. It just makes you look a lot younger in my opinion. So let me dim the lights for you to see the color a little bit better. There you go. So this is with dim lighting, and you can see it looks so natural. You can kind of see my markings across. So this is it with dim lighting. Alright, so that concludes it for my 3CE eyeshadow and dual blush and blush review. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please leave a like down below so I know that you enjoyed it. And if you have any further questions, also leave your comments down below, and I will see you all later. Bye!